Okay, we're here now.
Okay, good. I'm so excited to just jump right into the topic today because it's my choosing. And it's also something that I care about very, very deeply. Twilight. But more importantly, I feel like vampires in fiction and romance novels. That's kind of like, because I recently saw Nosferatu. Highly recommend. What's Johnny Depp's daughter's name?
Lily Rose Depp.
Yeah, she fully goons in that movie. Like fully
Shoot out.
Like, no, literally, there's a gooning scene where her tongue is out, eyes roll back, and she's like,
I don't think I've ever had a real life
And I was like,
experience.
really? I feel like you have to put yourself in that state of mind.
I can't. I don't like. I feel like I fit to such a not to be like sex negative, but I just like don't do buffoonery.
Yeah, it's buffoonery. You have to literally, that's the point of it. You have to like let go of like the shackles of
Goonery,
expectation.
goonery versus buffoonery.
It's the same.
It's the same
Honestly,
thing.
it's the same.
But like, yeah, I was just saying like the letter difference.
Yeah. But so she goons in that movie, and she goons over the 70-year-old, like decrepit looking vampire, and I'm here
Someone
for it.
has to.
I'm here for it. It's so fucking good. But anyway, tangents aside, we're specifically going to be referencing a video that we both watched by ContraPoints. Amazing.
Wait, no, we have to introduce the podcast too, though.
Okay.
Or like,
yeah. I'm getting ahead of myself.
yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the All of People. Today we're going to be talking about Twilight. Can I jump in now?
Yeah, you can jump in now. But like there had to be like a hey.
Right. Acknowledge the audience.
Yeah. It wasn't there because we were talking about the topic, not like a preamble.
Right. So anyway, ContraPoints, YouTuber extraordinaire, makes these video essays, and one of them is on Twilight. It's like a 3-hour video or something insane like that. How do people, first of all, why make a video that long? Does it get you more money if somebody watches it all the way through? Because I feel like, what's the point?
I mean, honestly, I think it's personal preference. Like some people don't like Lord of the Rings because it's too long.
Right. But I mean, from a sense of like,
All right, I just want to close the windows.
the sense of like monetization, isn't it better to have like short YouTube videos so that more people can watch your shit?
I
Or
feel like everyone says everything about the algorithm and like it's all just like what works. You know how like people have different career paths? I think it's very much like what works for someone else might not work for you. Something completely different works for someone else. Like it's all just so fucking random.
I see. First thing I want to start off is the fantasy of disavowal. You're familiar with that, yes?
This was in the ContraPoints video.
Yeah. So I highly believe that disavowal is something that is in a lot of romance fantasies, mostly because in life, the female lead is usually the one that's in charge of everything and wants to let go of that control and have somebody like kind of take charge. But because it's within a fantasy scenario, it's okay. Disavowal meaning like things are forced upon you, kind of like not necessarily just sex, but also
Oh,
go ahead.
I know a good way to describe it. It's like if someone's paying and then you're arguing like, oh, I don't want to pay. And then another person's like, no, I insist. You're like, no. And then another person just pays. And you're like, okay. So you have eliminated any shameful feelings of accepting styles, like whatever, without asking for it implicitly, which is embarrassing.
Right. But it's also because in our society, women are taught that they're not supposed to want shiny things. They're supposed to be demure and very humble and very like, oh, like I don't have sexual feelings. Yeah, exactly. Like literally, like I'm just a little girl. I don't. So when it's like,
This big tits.
exactly. So when things happen to them, it's like, oh, well, it wasn't their choice, but they enjoy it. So I feel like that fantasy is very real. And I actually experience it so much on a day to day. Like I have the disavowal fantasy, which is why I love vampire stories.
Yeah, I mean, sexuality is a spectrum, and I definitely could have guessed that for you.
Mm. How come?
I think it's like the sluttier you are, but I think it's safe to say you're probably sluttier than I am.
Probably.
I'm making a lot of assumptions, but like I just have a feeling.
I am. So it's probably true.
And I feel like what if you're just letting your I'm like just more of a prude. That's why I'm like just like less willing to have different types of sex
Oh.
because it's just not my thing. It's just like I don't know. I guess I'm just such a utilitarian. It's like it's just really about the physical pleasure. I don't want to deal with any pain. I'm not like I'll feel like I'll get like embarrassed if someone asks me to role play or like do something like that. Like I'd rather kill myself because I'm not an actor. And that's not
Right.
gonna be sexy to me, like, I'm just like,
Oh,
"No, this is
interesting.
I could do this scenario IRL, but
Interesting. I feel like for me, sex is like a way for me to be able to like completely be somebody else.
I'm always just so me, that's why I'm so real. I'm
I,
so real, I literally could not be somebody else."
I see. I see. That's so interesting that we're like opposite sides of the spectrum. That's so cool. But okay, so now backtracking a little bit more, what do you think of the Twilight movies or the books if you've read them?
I
I've
really
read
wish I
them.
rewatched all these.
I should make a caveat and say I've read them when I was like 14, all the way through in like 2 months. These are huge books, and I sat there and read through everything. But okay, go.
I think I do you know The Giver?
I do. I read that one.
I was doing audiobooks, so I split, like, The Giver, Harry Potter. I think those were my big 2. Twilight, the movies, personally, I think they're a little stupid. I'm not like, 'cause I'm not a I even like ContraPoints' video. I'm like, I get the point of Twilight. I understand. It's just like, it's fine to me. I'm more interested in like the aspects that I think people don't care about Twilight. I'm like, "Ooh, I wanna know more about the Volturi. I wanna know more about this, like, vampire society and their laws and their customs and the history. Who is the first vampire? Were there vampire colonizers? Did vampires oppose colonizers? Are they for Palestine? Are they for Israel? Like, do they have magic? Where does the magic come from?" Like, I'm like,
Yeah, she totally with like love, love.
literally.
Or she
Like,
totally
if
says
I
like
was
that.
Bella on like, as she got, like, resurrected to a vampire, I would have so many fucking questions,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. She had zero questions from day
she was fine
one.
with it.
She was like, I'm just vibing. I just want to be a fucking vampire. Like, she is very, very dark sided for that, to be honest. Like, wanting to be a vampire is crazy, but then wanting to do it as 17 without like knowing anything else, just like you said, did not ask about the history, did not give a shit. But also the Volturi, I love them as well because they're like gay vampires. They're what I expect gay vampires to be.
So you like, I just ContraPoints in the video talked about, like, that violent aspect of, like, the plot line being necessary to, like, for
Yes.
people to watch and understand the
Right.
movie in, like, a context that they know. Because you couldn't have just a plot where, like, the whole issue is the relationship and it's, like, viability. There had to be some other
Right. Because
aspect.
in romance novels, it's like the conflict is the barrier, what ContraPoint describes. Like there's not supposed to be this like actual threat. It's just like what is preventing you from getting married to this person. And in Twilight's book, it's the fact that Edward wants to eat her.
I live my own Twilight.
Yeah, you
I
do.
literally like, my love is always forbidden. 'Cause it's just like it's just the fact that it's a man.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That is a barrier in itself. That's very true. I feel that. Um I think vampires are very campy. And I think that's part of the reason why I really like Twilight. I feel like I take Twilight at face value. Like it's just, did you hear that or was it just me?
You have schizophrenia.
Oh my God. I swear I just heard the notification go off, but if
You is your phone just
it's
turn
off.
it's a one button. And mine like, this is the thing, I don't why is your this is the thing that actually pissed me off with the Mezgen always,
Yeah,
aside.
aside.
Sometimes they'd be like, "Please turn off your phone. Please turn off your phone. Please turn off." It's like my phone why does your phone ever need to be on loud? There's literally no like, I can't think of one reason. Vibrate does
Maybe,
all the things that loud does, but quiet.
but maybe grandma's in the hospital and you have proprioception where you can't feel vibrations and need the auditory stimulation.
Are
Yeah.
you that way?
Maybe.
You're a
You don't know
liar.
me. That's against my religion.
Yeah, I know you're a slut.
Anyway, what was it? What were we talking about?
Twilight.
Twilight. I take Twilight at face value. I think I don't watch it for the plot. I more so watch it as like a commentary of where we were at that era when we all tuned in to watch it. I feel like it's so telling of the time,
Oh my god.
of the things that we enjoyed, like how cringy. Like Twilight would not work now, would not work 20 years ago. It definitely had to have happened 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like we were just that cringy millennial, like escapist fantasy where it was so unrealistic and so stupid at the same time. And we just didn't care. We ate that shit up.
It came out in 2008. So it's 2025 now. 13 years. Okay, so I would have been around the age. Oh my god, math is so hard. Fuck. 9? Okay, I was around 9.
You were a baby.
I was a baby. And I remember like Jacob, or what's his name? Taylor Lautner was like, I was like having
I
like
get it. I
wet
get it.
dreams about that man.
I get it.
But I just like, I remember I didn't know, like, we weren't having sex in my like fantasies, but like I was literally like Princess Peach, and like he was like,
Why Princess Peach?
or like I'm just thinking of like a princess that's like
It's so funny.
being like carried away.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's gonna come save me?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then it's like, wait, from what? And then what's gonna happen, Diva?
Yeah. How did you think people get pregnant?
I don't think I just didn't think about it.
Really?
I didn't think about it, and then I just knew.
Did you not ask your parents?
No, I think it's just like I caught on pretty quickly that like sex and nakedness and that stuff was like taboo. And also they just like always gave a religious perspective. Like really young, they traumatized me with religion because I have a core memory of being even younger than that, younger than 9. And I was crying because they were talking about hell and all the like pre-torture that happens even before that.
Yum.
And
Don't
then
turn me on.
as a 7-year-old, you're like terrified. So then I just like was kind of like, oh, religion's just scary.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to know more about what, God thinks.
What they fucking do in hell. Yeah, absolutely.
Just in general, it's always doom and gloom. It's like
Yeah,
end of times, end of the world, and then all this sin around us, and how no one is religious anymore, and how that's so bad.
Yeah, I still remember the khutbahs in my mosque on Fridays. The ones that I remember most vividly are the most ridiculous ones. And it's usually the ones where the imam goes, look at our children. They're wearing jeans. And I'm like, huh? As in like we're like appearing like Westerners or like we're emulating the West. And I'm like, okay, is this really the hill you want to die on right now? Like you sound ridiculous.
Pants.
Yeah, pants.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what you're determining if somebody's worthy of like heaven. I don't know, ridiculousness. But anyway, so speaking of Jacob, actually, you mentioned something when we were discussing this before about like the implication of like the colonial lens through this.
Yeah.
Through the fact that Jacob is obviously Native American and the way that he's portrayed, as well as like his clan, and how like it's like the animal. Like, of course, it's gonna be this like.
It's a romance novel, like, and it's like symptomatic. Like it's a symptomatic. It's like, okay, if a romance novel was made in a society full of white supremacists
It would be
on vampires, it's Twilight.
exactly.
It's like, I think you could have Twilight and some. Well, actually, I like was watching some like feminist video essay on how technically any, or like there's a feminist theory that like no um no sexual relationship could technically be like equal and like free of whatever.
I
But
disagree with
I
that.
think there could be Twilight in like an egalitarian perfect world. I still
So,
could have
funny enough, did you reach the end of ContraPoint's video?
Yeah.
Did you hear when she talks about egalitarian sex from that crazy lesbian?
Where people are just like lying side by side, like doing
Basically,
nothing.
like anything penetrative is emulating heteronormative sex, and in that sense is straight. Sheila
I
Jeffries, that's the person who it is. Sheila Jeffries is the author of like feminist theories. She's a hardcore feminist who says that any situation where somebody's the sub, somebody's the dom, somebody's the bottom, somebody's the top, you're straight. Like that's her stance, which is crazy to me.
I don't think it's that crazy. Have
I
you
think
not
it's
noticed?
insane.
Have
Just
you not been
just because I have fantasies of wanting to be dominated or otherwise, like me dominating, does not mean that I'm heteronormative.
not heteronormative, but we're like playing into the dynamics that like of heteronormativity of
I
like
don't think so.
I feel like bottom and top is pretty much coded to be superior, inferior.
No. See, that's where I don't think, see that, and that's kind of like,
Well, okay, I'm not saying that's true, but I'm just saying that's the like just look around you. Like it doesn't matter if we both don't act like that. I'm just saying how society we live in a society and it's not just us.
that's true, that's fair. But I still think that sexual roles can exist outside of sexuality. As in like the whole bipolar aspect of like romance, of like somebody has to be the giver, somebody is the whatever, blah, blah, blah. I think those roles are interchangeable. Like you can go from being one to the other. That it's not like a
Okay, yeah, it's fluid, but that doesn't mean make the dynamic not oppressive for like the bottom, even if it just switches. Because you could go from oppressed to oppressor easy.
right, but I guess I just don't view that aspect of sex as like oppressive. If it's done in a space where you're both on the same page and understanding that you're both like enjoying it, if anything, I feel more power in it.
I don't know, like I don't understand necessarily like the whole entire theory as to like why penetration is like seen as being like as soon as you're penetrated, you're seen as like lesser than.
Yeah.
I don't see it that way, but I know society has a hang up on it. I
You're
don't know.
right.
I can't really like discuss that part in depth. And like, I don't know. I have no idea why being penetrated makes you seem weak. Like, I agree with you, but I do know that enough people treat bottom as the woman and top as the guy to like understand that, okay, yeah, gay guys at the very least are doing heteronormative thing on for like some of us are, and same thing with lesbians. Like they very much play into the
But
mask femme
yeah,
like spectrum, and then having that like paired up as like a fantasy.
right. No, that's absolutely true. But I don't see the I guess my question is what's the problem with that? Like what is the
There's no problem with that.
yeah.
It just depends on what you're. I mean, okay, problems are also just like just made up because it's like if I don't have a problem with that, then there's no problem. But then if I want to make a problem of that, then I will make a problem because it's like, well, I want everyone should be free. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like I don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everyone's not going to be free.
Yeah, yeah. And we do see that like dynamic, I feel like a lot in Twilight as well, where it's like Bella's just completely useless. But then what's so interesting is that she flips it on its head when she becomes the queen, where like she becomes the vampire. And not only is she a vampire, she's the strongest one amongst them, you know? So I feel like
Mm.
in that sense, subconsciously, the author, I feel like, was trying to break that dynamic without actually realizing she's doing something interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, like she lost. She doesn't have any power in this relationship, and then all of a sudden she has all the power. Yeah,
Exactly.
I guess that is an interesting perspective, but I think it's more from like the this author is clearly writing about her own fantasy, and
Absolutely.
she didn't feel powerful. So then, obviously, when you don't feel powerful, your greatest fantasy is to become powerful.
Right.
Like everyone wants to be Harry Potter, everyone wants to be Bella, everyone wants to be like Ash Ketchum. Like we're all just like think we're like that girl next door, boy next door, they them next door, and like for some reason we have this unlocked, hidden, special talent that like is so underrated, but like the most amazing person ever is gonna notice it somehow. And it's
And
like,
it's always the most mediocre character. Like, if you
yes.
notice, the main characters in these books, especially young adult novels, are very like plain Jane, average, basic ass bitches. And I think that also plays to the fact that she's trying to make the author relate or the reader relate by like reading this basic person having all these hot men vie for her attention. They're all like You get what I'm saying? Like, you're right. It's absolutely the fantasy of being able to put yourself in somebody's shoe like that. If Bella was interesting, then readers might not relate to the book.
Like, in Jennifer's Body, like, no one thinks they're Megan Fox.
Exactly. No one like is able to actually appreciate that, oh, what it's like to be somebody like Megan Fox in this situation.
Oh, or I guess, like, so few people think of themselves as Megan Fox is like, that movie's not gonna sell.
Right, right. Yeah. I had a thought. Oh, you mentioned Ash Ketchum. I'm just curious. What's your favorite Pokemon?
My
No,
mine.
mine. Who? Oh my God. No way.
Melodic. Oh, I'm gonna wait. I need to say it without you talking.
Go ahead.
Melodic. No! Melodic.
Yeah, she's cunt. I like her. I mean, you know mine, obviously.
No, I don't.
It's literally my Instagram picture.
A Gengar? I feel like every gay
Right.
guy's.
Instagram display picture. Literally since I was a
Oh,
kid.
Starmie? That's so weird.
Are you kidding me? Have you
Why
heard?
Starmie? Who's Starmie?
I
Like,
remember. Who's Starmie? I
I
remember.
remember from the first gym with May.
No, the first gem is May. You mean Misty?
Misty, sorry. Same
Yeah.
there.
But so when she calls out Starmie, Starmie is the only Pokemon that doesn't like say its name. It goes, you know what I mean? And she goes that every time. I was like the second I heard that, I was like, oh my God, something in me just like resonated with that so much. Like instead of like she's so like, and also she's canonically non-binary. Like she has no gender. I say she, but it doesn't have a gender. And it has a
It's
fucking
yeah.
gem as a face. Like it literally has like nothing. It's just glorious. And it's a psychic and water type, so it's like super cool. But
Okay, valid. I just never used it ever.
yeah,
I
like
liked like cool. Oh,
go ahead, sorry.
I liked cool like more like boy Pokemons. Like I was like dragons and serpents and like
My
they that were
Logic.
well, Milotic's pretty, but like that's a beautiful looking ass snake dragon.
It
Like
is.
that's not like some like horse or I don't know. It's still like very. It's pretty but deadly.
Right.
It's not like some small cutesy.
Yeah, I feel like my Logic was supposed to be the like feminine version of Gyarados. Like that whole
Gyarados is also up there for me. I don't have like a single favorite Pokemon, but I have a Pokemon type.
Mm. Are we both water type people?
No, I didn't even mean like I have a type in terms of their aesthetic, not in terms of their actual type.
Gotcha. I'm really getting in the weeds here. But anyway, let's backtrack. So we have already talked about egalitarian sex, basically. What do you think about feminists?
I love them. I think it makes sense to like. I mean, the thing is, I think women. It's like one of those things where it's like if you're not a racialized person, you don't understand how shitty like some interactions are on a day to day basis. So I feel like if I was ever a woman, I'd be like, "Whoa, this is crazy the way people are talking to me or treat whatever." So I like, hey, pop off, feminists! Like, keep coming up with theories.
I want to make one thing clear. If I was a woman, I would hate men. I would hate men. I
You think
already
that
hate
now?
I already hate men. But I mean, I would hate them. Like I would literally be plotting their death because I'm like, how is it that I am expected to like live less than somebody else just because of my gender? That being said, I do think there is a section of feminism that is insane, completely being born from this like extremist like desire. Like, hello, Sheila Jeffries is saying being straight is betraying the female gender. Like, that's literally her stance. She's
Well,
saying that if you're a straight woman and want a man, then you're not a feminist.
I also think that it's like she's not trying to personally insult people that like don't that aren't being feminists, but I think sex is a bargaining chip in this like power dynamic. And for like the way to like the only power sometimes women have in society can be sex.
So
So it's
what?
like,
You're not supposed to have sex then?
yeah, for the like, it's like being a part of a union. Like, don't be a scab.
No. You know what that argument sounds like her argument? It sounds like what people tell us as gay men saying, "No, you should just be straight." It's kind of like the same idea. You're asking somebody who's not gay to be gay. Like you're saying homosexuality is the only way to be a feminist, like as in being fully a lesbian.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same argument where you're saying it's not valid to be straight.
But sometimes it's like, just because this is the only way to do this doesn't mean that it has to be done. I sometimes I think things are just like a rolling ball down a hill. Like, we will never, maybe I'll get canceled for this, but I don't think we're ever going to have a society with, not to say, okay, disclaimer, we should still be activists and blah, blah, blah. But because we live in a society of not absolutes, like nothing just is. Like, because we have hot, we have cold. So it's like, you just will like never end up in a place where it's like things are just perfect, because then it's like nothing would exist. Like, it would just be like, it would have to just be like that one thing. But because like many people are going to be alive and many people are going to have different subjective viewpoints on like one concept, something will always be labeled as a problem, something will always be labeled as not a problem. Like, it's just, I mean, like, the thing is, I agree with the theory that like being a gender traitor means having sex with a man. Like, I understand that if we were like in the context of like union versus an employer and like a smaller scale. And then if you just like blow it up to the entire world, it becomes less realistic, but I think it's still valid.
I think so, but honestly, like I just feel it's unfair to dictate like what somebody's actions are, especially when for Sheila Jeffries it must be so easy to munch on box. But for
But it's
somebody,
not,
sorry,
okay,
go
you
ahead.
can't dictate everyone's actions, but what do you do? Like, if you're a doctor, you have to dictate someone's actions to make them better. Okay, they don't have to, their actions don't have to be dictated, but then it's like, well, then, we're not going to get anywhere. Or maybe you can get there a different way, but
But that's going to affect them. It's not going to affect me. Sheila Jeffries' argument is that everyone has to like abandon men completely.
because the problem involves everyone.
But I just don't see that being a valid solution. Like moving
No,
forward,
I
just
don't
like
think
you
it's a,
said, just like
yeah.
you said, the having like the good to experience the bad, you clearly read The Giver. That is the giver's message. Basically, like you can't erase all bad because then you erase all good. If you
Yeah.
like take away the languages for love and affection and whatever, you also take away pain and sorrow because they're kind of like
They're
interchangeable.
actually the same.
Yeah,
It's like horseshoe. It's a horseshoe.
absolutely. Because how would you experience sorrow if you never experienced love? Like it's the same. Like it's you
It's
need to
always like
lose
a
one to
long
get the other.
it's a long we always just feel longing for something.
Yes. Yeah.
Because being satisfied would be to be dead.
Exactly.
Because yeah, you can't be just one thing, because we are constantly whatever.
Which is very. It's good you mentioned that because that leads me to my next point: the whole difference between yearning and romantic love, which I feel like we all experience and we all can relate to. But like the chase, kind of like this prey predator thing, is kind of what we crave more so than the actual intimacy of being with the person. Because once you get the thing, for many people, it's like, oh, now what? Like they don't know what to do with it. And they see that as falling out of love. When I feel like ContraPoints really discusses it or talks about it very well, where she says you have to find ways to constantly fall in love with the person you're with to be able to have a sustained relationship.
Sorry, we were talking about romance, and then I was like, let me check my DMs to see if my crush answered me.
Cute. Did he?
No.
Okay. How's that going?
Literally the same place it just was. Like, I feel like he's not giving one-word answers, he's not giving nothing. He is, like, asking things too, but it's just, like, not opening it for 8 hours. But then it's like, okay, we've only hung like, this has been a very short relationship, so I'm very infatuated with this man. And it's like, okay, when we first planned this date, he was, like, really answering fast all the time, even though he was, like, at work, because he has a really, like, demanding job. But now it's just like, I'm just like, okay, I get it when it's like, oh, I see a DM from a person, well, it's like not that urgent. But it's like, if you felt the same way about me, it would be more urgent.
Yes, I totally get that feeling. I remember getting that, texting people and feeling like, wait, but if I got a text from you, I'd respond right away because I'd be like, oh my God, yeah, they texted. And the
I'd
fact
be
that
so excited.
the fact that they're not doing the same makes you want them more. Is that true?
Yeah, but I'm slowly getting over that. Like, I'm not like I vocalize when I have a crush and I vocalize when I'm feeling infatuated, but I think what people also don't realize in what I'm saying is when I'm talking about my experiences, as I also understand that they're very cyclical. Like, I have a oh my God, watching I have like to these. But
You're like,
literally I just
feel yourself.
um this like I'm gonna have a crush again. Like it's fine, but it's like I love complaining. I just love complaining.
Right.
It's gonna happen every single time.
Right. And do you actually like this person for who they are, or is it just the infatuation, like the chase?
I think okay, the thing is because the date started off where we had a fight. We got into like a fight about we were having like a political debate about Islam. And then I wanted to it got intense for me. Not super intense, but like to the point where I was like, we need to stop. I was like, let's cut it. And he thought I meant like the date. And this was like in the first 20 minutes. He's like, okay, well, it was really nice to meet you. And I was like, oh, I just meant the topic. And he's like, oh, okay. Like he like actually misunderstood what I was saying. And then we changed topics and then I like got to know him more. And then I was like, I realized the for like, yeah, I had a the thing is we started talking about this political thing right away before I even knew this man because I was trying to like figure out if he was a Nazi.
Right.
Uh
Very valid.
Very valid, but I just went about it in a way that assuming he was a Nazi until he wasn't.
Oh,
Was it like
are they white?
I felt very hostile.
Boyfriend
No,
alert.
white boyfriend alert.
Yeah.
He's not white. He's Iranian. He's Iranian diaspora. So I was like, "Ooh, are you Islamophobic? Are you like, do you know what I mean?" So I kind of came in like guilty in my mind and like trying to see if he's actually not that. Um, and he wasn't that. And then I kind of felt bad for like the way I went about it in the first place for like coming in hot because I'm like, oh wait, I actually kind of like you. And I think that's what's making me like him more because I'm like, fuck, I didn't have to start that argument like
Did
ready
you
to go.
apologize to him about that?
We did, and everything's cleared up. And at the end of the date, we literally like made out on the sidewalk.
Okay, good.
Like it wasn't like he was like put off. But maybe the thing is, after you leave a date, I feel like everyone reflects. So he could have very well reflected and been like, actually, that was crazy.
But see, that's on him. If he's somebody that actually wants to give this a shot, he'd communicate that and say, like, by the way, like, I did kind of feel iffy about that. Can we talk about it again?
Well, no, the thing is, it is on him. I just want to know.
Yeah.
I don't care what the answer is. I just want to know.
Right.
So
You
it's
have
like
to
the
be
entity.
patient, though.
No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, like as in you have to wait. The only reason I'm saying that is because I've been in situations where I was impatient and I would like almost like pester the other person.
No, I didn't pester him. I'm just looking. I'm constantly checking to see if I got a response because my notifications are off because I'm not crazy.
Good.
So I my Instagram will never like he could have DM'd me like right the second, but my phone won't vibrate. Like I just go and open my Instagram and then things there because I like a little surprise every time I open an app. So like what I'll do to avoid pestering somebody is like put my phone away and because it doesn't vibrate, it doesn't do anything. I don't know what's going on. And my ADHD kicks in and then I just get lost in something
Right.
else. And then it's like, oh, it's actually been 3 hours. And it's like, oh, now I'll like check. And then it's like the notification's not even there. So it's like it's like a mystery box.
Right. Yeah, well, good luck with that. Hope it works out if it's meant to be. But
Pre Twilight.
read Twilight. Actually, I was gonna move on to Nosferatu. Did you watch it or no?
No.
Okay, highly recommend. Highly recommend. But in general, I feel like vampire media is always about this like chase, kind of this like, because obviously vampires drink blood. So it's like the idea of what's the most dangerous thing to be with, somebody that literally wants to eat you. So I think that's why we always crave vampire romances because it's the most forbidden love there is, in a
I
way.
think vampire romance is like the most like,
Because literally you're with somebody who could kill you.
but that could be like being with a serial killer. That could be with like,
But see,
what?
because it's something so campy as like a vampire, it's easy to accept. Whereas a serial killer, is like real. You get what I'm saying? Like it's a fantasy. It's
But
something
people are in love with serial killers.
which is crazy. But that is
That
not
is what being in love with a vampire is.
very true. And actually, I think ContraPoint talks about that in her video where she describes how, like, when you aspire to be with a vampire, that sounds ludicrous. So it's more like the fantasy of wanting to be with a serial killer, except you're absolving yourself of the guilt of actually wanting to be with someone dangerous because vampires don't exist.
I think it's also wanting to feel special because it's like you're the only one who wasn't killed.
Right.
You you're like, I can change him is such a common
Exactly.
trope. But I also again, it's like this is why I don't think I like those movies because it's like I think if you like those movies, you're a I can change him person. And I think you maybe like identify more with your emotions better than people who are like I that's not a fantasy for me. I don't want to come in and change somebody who is like erratic and murderous. Like I want someone who's ready to like go. Not no renovation required.
Interesting. So there's no part of you that like seeks the thrill or like the feeling of like, oh, he likes me, but he likes nobody else. Like the bad.
No, that would make me feel too much pressure and anxiety, I think, and I would like want to run away
Okay.
because I'd be like, I'm the only person that could provide you with this. Like, what if I don't want to? What if I'm not in a good mood? Then I feel like I'm such a contrarian sometimes where it's like, well, you like me? Well, I actually don't like you. Like, my brain just flips.
No, but that's exactly it. It would be with somebody who normally doesn't like the person he's with. That's the attractive part of it, is the fact that you're with somebody who you're not sure if they like you or not.
Uh, oh. The thing is, because I'm also very confrontational, after like a couple times, I think I would just really address the fact in a really like violent, direct way that we're gonna kill each other or like
Yeah, I
both.
was like, I
So
imagine you with a steak knife being like,
yeah, like, my vampire boyfriend is like I'm the like it's like I would be like okay, it'd be like reverse Twilight, but that person's still the vampire and I'm still the human, but like I'm the more like aggressive, like
yeah, they're the ones cowering in the dark, chained to the bed.
literally, and I'm like threatening to like open up the blinds to like kill them with the sunlight. I'm like, I'll do it.
That's not gonna happen in Twilight though, because they shine in the sunlight.
Yeah, that part's kind of fucking stupid.
It's so stupid.
It would have been very interesting to see, like, okay, yeah, Edward couldn't show his skin in the daylight, or else people would be like, "Oh, you're." But then people would have been like, "Oh, what's that body mist you got on, girl? Like, what kind of body
Literally,
makeup is
like
that?"
who
Like,
cares? It's supposed to be like you literally glow like a diamond. Like literally, it's so fucking gay. I
you
can't.
could tell this is a Wattpad story.
Absolutely. And the fact that there's a Wattpad story of Twilight that also got equal fame and notoriety,
Which
50
is
Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Grey is a fan fiction of Twilight. Did you not know this?
no, I didn't.
Yeah, the author.
Honestly, they're all just like baseline plots of like basic pornos out there.
Exactly. No, it's basically the same thing. Like you can literally replace, I forget 50 Shades of Grey's. I watched the first movie. That one it's so unwatchable, but obviously in a good way. Like I'd recommend watching it high and just like laughing with friends. Like watch it with like 20 people. It's so
Mhm.
ridiculous. Same with Twilight. Hello. Every time I watch it, I'm like cracking up. If you watch Twilight, okay, here's homework for our listeners, viewers, whatever. If you watch Twilight on Amazon Prime, when you move your cursor, it'll like give you a panel of like usually they give you like interesting trivia, interesting tidbits about the movie. But when you do it for Twilight, frame by frame, there's always a caption saying, "At minute 10:36, you can see the microphone." You know, like it gives you like spoofs or like goofs of the movie, and it is hilarious. Bella here is seen walking into the restaurant with her backpack and leaving without it.
Where the
And
okay, yeah. A big one of that is like in Game of Thrones, there was like a Starbucks cup
Starbucks cup, yeah.
on the one of the that is a big one. How did
That's
no
the
one
big
see
one.
that? That's a
That's
huge one.
they could have easily have like CGI'd it out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. They clearly stopped caring towards the end. But there's
Twilight
another.
okay. Oh,
Go ahead.
okay, so the thing is, Twilight, I wanted to watch it as a kid, but because I was a guy, it was just not gonna happen. And my sister was really into Twilight. So I would like try to like when she was like watching in the living room or something, I'd like be around. She was such a bitch though. She wouldn't just like let me hang out. We weren't like friendly siblings. So she'd be like, "Why are you here? Like, why are you watching this? Like, go away." And it's like, you can't just let me be here. Like the thing is, I wasn't just allowed to like sit.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe that's her insecurity of being like, you're gonna make fun of her for wanting to watch Twilight.
Who knows?
Yeah.
The thing is, my sister to me, she's like kind of she's a little bit of an enigma because I think she's such a people pleaser. That bitch, if you're watching, you're gonna have an identity crisis.
Oh, Habibti.
Good luck.
Good luck. We'll be here for you. Do we like your sister?
I love my sister.
Okay.
Do I like my sister?
Yeah, there's a difference.
There's a difference. There's a See, like when you love someone, there's always room to like them,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's like I might hate you, but if we fix the problem, I can like you. But if I don't like you, it's like we might not get anywhere.
Yes, 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 yes. Totally, totally. Are you familiar with any other vampire genre movies, books, TV shows?
I was actually just thinking that the Wizards of Waverly from the Disney Channel. Did you watch?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's the vampire love scene where like Alex Russo, Selena Gomez, we hate her by the way. Enemy of the pod.
Enemy of everything.
And yeah, but like enemy of everything, but including this podcast.
Yeah.
Like she's the one dating a vampire. No, then that would make her lesbian. So her brother dates a vampire and she dates a werewolf. And then the werewolf and vampire fight each other. And then I think just the vampire ends up coming back and dating the brother. Anyway, in terms of that plot line, it was very much different than Twilight because like they're wizards, so it's like they're also like on an equal playing field. It was more about like the dynamics of um the vampire and the werewolf not being able to play nice in general. So it's like, okay, let's remake Twilight, but it's actually not about Bella. It's about Edward and Jacob and their hatred for each other.
Oh, that's so interesting. I mean, Edward and Jacob are basically lovers. I feel like they progress towards this like love-hate relationship where towards the end, like
They're sister wives.
they're sister wives. That's what it is. That's a better way to describe it. Like I feel like and there's that one scene where Edward just clearly Robert Pattinson, the actor, clearly was not acting when Jacob was like, "So I should call you dad now." And then it pans to Robert Pattinson and he's just like, "No." Like fully himself, like being like, "What the fuck is this?"
And it's just so funny though because like the ending of that film where they all become this like random polycule where Jacob is dating like the child or whatever. He's not dating the child. I don't know.
He's dating. He's fully hating the child.
So he's dating the child and Edward dating Bella, whatever. It, it's like it's so it's like it's a heterosexual queer dynamic that had to happen in a way with like all this mysticism, which is so sad because I'm always saying this like gay people, queer people have so much more um willingness to like use all this different vocabulary to like actually talk like we just live out our fantasies. Do you know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Absolutely.
Straight people are like venting all this shit to just like who's this bitch that wrote Twilight?
Stephanie Meyer. Yeah.
If Stephanie Myers was any kind of queer, we would never have Twilight.
Absolutely. And in fact,
She would be somewhere paying $600 for a room in like a shitty urban center, like living with a bunch of fucking queers in like some egalitarian, not egalitarian, whatever polycule where like everyone's fucking everybody.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like I don't think Stephanie Meyer is even aware of this, but keeping Jacob around, like subconsciously, I think her dating, Jacob dating Bella's daughter is Stephanie Meyer's way of being able to have them both. Because she's not going to have two lovers. That's too sinful. But the fact that, like that way she gets to keep them all together, and in her mind that satisfies, and she doesn't realize how queer that is. Exactly like you're describing. Like, girl, you just want to be with two people at once. That's
And the thing is, it'd be so messy because, okay, I don't even want to imagine a situation in which my child is also dating someone that I liked and had a sexual encounter with. But in a situation where there's a group of men where it's like, okay, maybe it's like me and my boyfriend start dating another couple. I don't understand. Okay, anyway, the point is, it's like if I was Bella, I would not be able to not want to stop fucking Jacob or whatever. Like, or
exactly.
whatever. It's like, why? Like, are you guys like what?
Exactly. And I think that's the thing that like Stephanie Myers is doing unconsciously. Again, nothing she's doing, I feel like she purposefully did. It all just poured out of her. So I'm not giving her credit. This is all
But the
like
baby aspect was weird. I think maybe she should have killed the child, so then it would have been less weird.
or
And then like,
maybe
and then Jacob still could be like in the family, but then like the child's dead, so there's not this like weird child romance.
right. Right. I mean, they pose it as like, oh, this isn't a romance. He's her guardian until she needs something else. Like when she grows up,
They
eventually,
fuck.
then the whole thing is that when she grows up, if she wants a boyfriend, then he'll be a boyfriend.
Really? Is that
Yeah,
like canon?
as in
Steph
cannot.
Stephanie Myers wrote that down.
She didn't verbatim say that, but it's basically implied. Jacob saying, "I am whatever she wants me to be," and as a child, she obviously needs a guardian. But then as she grows up, it's grooming. It's fully grooming. It's so bad. It's crazy. It's actually
I was a
insane.
in that world. See, this is the other confusing part because vampires don't age.
Right.
So how's what the fuck? How what's a vampire baby?
No, so okay, very good questions. If in the Twilight uh mythos, if a baby is turned into a vampire the traditional way by biting them, they fully are frozen as a baby. They will never age. The reason why Bella's child ages is because she's a hybrid human vampire, which they have no experience on except for that one, like, South American vampire that they bring with them. I'm going to be entering a whole. If you didn't watch the last movies, then ignore me. But basically, long story short, human vampires can grow.
To when? So the baby's gonna die one day?
No, so that's the thing. They also find out that from other people who are human vampires, they reach a certain age and then conveniently stay immortal.
Okay, what does a human vampire mean? Like they were born a vampire? They weren't like
No, no,
but
exactly. They were born from a human womb from a vampire
no.
adult.
Oh, right, because it was the Bella wasn't a vampire when the baby was born, and the
Correct.
baby like killed her and like in the
Correct.
huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In terms of other medias that have vampires in them, John and I recently watched Castlevania. Do you watch like anime slash cartoon stuff or no?
I've watched Hotel Transylvania,
Okay, that one is that's the kid movie, right?
but no, but there's vampires in it.
There, and Selena Gomez, our enemy.
Twilight's also a kid movie. Like everyone who was watching that was young.
I mean, yeah, Twilight is a kid movie, but I would say Hotel Transylvania. I loved it.
I
I
know. I'm
liked it.
not trying to say Hotel Trans. I get it. I get what
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
saying.
but I,
But
I like that movie. I think they had the sequel too, or something, or maybe even a
also
sequel.
about forbidden love.
Right,
The daughter wants to
right, right,
date a
right, right, right,
human.
right, right, right. Yeah, I like that movie. Who played the Dracula? Was it? If I feel like it's somebody famous.
As a voice actor, I don't know.
No, I think it's Adam Sandler.
Oh, why did you have
Yes,
to tell me that?
I feel like it's Adam Sandler. I don't know why.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, look it up quick.
Quick Google.
Um, but yeah, Castlevania is a really cool take on vampires, in my opinion, where they're still sexy, they're still great, but then humans also have magic and they're fighting like hell, essentially. So there's a lot of blood, gore, guts. And to me, that's the perfect combo. When it's like the campiness of vampires with the goriness of killing like hell creatures. I like that combination. That's like my sweet
Mm.
spot.
What do I like? I don't know. I don't know if I'm like more like I don't mind gore and guts and blah blah blah, and I just like I like some magic and like I
Which
just
Castlevania has. Maybe you should watch it.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I like when people can like cast spells or like in a whole fantasy world where there's like just like magic is existing. I just think that shit's so cool. It's like a whole other physics or science to me, but it's interesting. It's like, whoa, this is like fun applications rather than like, building a nuclear bomb.
Right. So look into this. I remember talking about this extensively with somebody. A lot of gay people actually find magic and the concept of magic very enticing because we relate to the fact that magicians or wizards or witches are usually seen as like ostracized from society or othered, but at the same time, they have this magical ability and create all these amazing things, which is what we as queer people feel our queerness to be. Does that make sense?
But I like that doesn't explain Lord of the Rings to me. Because in Lord of the Rings, it's like I love like a whole world where everyone's just magic.
Yeah. So you like Lord of the Rings.
I love Lord of the Rings.
My one issue with Lord of the Rings, which is my issue, is the fact that I have a problem with any plot where the villain is defeated by the power of love.
That's not how the villain was defeated.
It just feels like very idealistic in the sense like all the friends, like the gaggle, but what are they called? The first one,
The Fellowship.
the gaggle, the Fellowship of the Ring. I just feel like it's so
Have you ever done anything hard in your life?
yeah.
Okay, so when you do those hard things, don't you feel like on your journey to that, all these like unexpected things happen to like that like kind of helped you on the way or like led you down that path?
No, absolutely. I guess what
So
I'm
it's
trying to
just
say is I'm not trying to say that is not realistic. I'm saying in my mind, if magic existed, if all these hell creatures existed, we would not be living in like this utopian, not utopian, but you get what I'm saying, like this idealistic version of a fantasy world. It would be
but
more
it's
like
not
Game of Thrones.
idealistic.
Like
No, but it is like Game of Thrones. What do you mean? What do you
Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, people are dying. The peasants are dying. People are like
Barely. They keep doing like these righteous things that I'm like, come on.
but the fellowship is the good people. They literally are betrayed by like the principal of it, Saruman, the like smartest wizard, fucking abandoned them. They had the king of Rohan was fucking possessed by
Like,
like
but see, even
there
that,
are
like,
there were people, like, who were, like, betraying, and there was, like, for Boromir and Faramir, like, the men of, like, the last big city in Lord of the Rings, they were both, like, very corruptible by the ring, and they, like, almost tried to steal it. So, like, there is some, like
I'll give you an example of what's
yeah, it's
sticking
not
out
just
to my
love.
head. I'll give you an example of what's sticking out to my head. The king that is possessed, the guy who's doing the possessing, where he keeps whispering in his ear. I forget his
Warthog.
name. Right. When they finally end the possession, they literally just send him on his way to Saruman. Like
Because and
they're literally just like, okay, you can leave now. Go back and tell Saruman that the king is free. And I'm like, are you fucking stupid? Kill the motherfucker.
no, you don't get Lord of the Rings. Gandalf was there, and they would have killed him if Gandalf weren't there. And Gandalf was like, no, or no, it was Aragorn that said, okay, you know what, enough people have been killed. But it's like the wisdom in that is the point of the movie is having mercy. Okay, so you're pro capital punishment apparently.
I'm pro
I
killing like people that want to kill me. Like
okay, well, you better start with a lot of people back home.
I guess okay. Here, let me. You
Can I
yeah,
finish
you're
though?
right. Go ahead.
I wanna say that I think the point of mercy in Lord of the Rings was mercy that saved Gollum, in turn saved the whole entire world because Gollum's the only reason the ring was destroyed. So it's like sometimes bad things that happen actually like result it's like Nasib. It's like you don't know why things are happening until it's all happened. The concept of Nasib is like the Islamic term for like predetermination, where it's just like things happen because that's the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah. How do I explain to somebody? I tried explaining nasib, but not just qada u qadar, meaning like you still have will, but at the same time, Things are already predetermined.
I just think that's like a mental gymnastic thing Muslims can't figure out because it would mean that heaven or hell is invalid if you don't actually have a choice. But, like, I mean, I'm not a traditional Muslim slash maybe not really a Muslim, depending on I don't really care if I think I'm a Muslim or not a Muslim, I like, whatever. But personally, I do believe in, like, predetermination, but it's like, that's exactly why hell can't exist, because there are so many things that are quite literally outside of our control that will inevitably, like, influence our decisions that you are not on the grand scheme of, like, a all-powerful being that created the entire planet, including the universe, it's like, you're not gonna fucking sit here and split hairs about, like, "Oh, you killed somebody," but it's like, "Oh, wait, you actually killed somebody because, like, this happened to you in the past, so it's actually your mom's fault, but your mom did that because blah, 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 blah." It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, wait, actually, you know what? This is actually nobody's fault." It's like, if you're a manager of a restaurant and you see, like, a systematic issue, you're not blaming the people. You're like, "Oh, this is happening because the heat on the grill is too low. The fridge stopped working." You don't get mad at the people.
Right.
So it's like, it's kinda common fucking sense.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. I very much agree with you on that. It's like the concept of moral injury. Like when we see things happening against our own, like for example, a nurse in a hospital ward taking care of 20 sick patients, one of them is like, "Can you sit with me? Because I'm about to die and I want someone there with me." But then she's like, "Oh, I have to take care of 19 other patients," so she can't. And the
Yeah.
patient passes away alone. That's like she feels moral injury because I assume the nurse is a she. Wow, that feminists are gonna come for me now.
And I am always sheeing people.
Yeah, I do that too. I really do. So that's what I mean by she. She. Okay.
Yeah.
I pointed to both of us. Yeah, so anyway, so the concept of moral injury is like feeling like you want to do something but can't because of systemic issues,
Yeah,
which
and that's
is
God.
yeah.
But to say that Nasib also includes that we have free I don't think people have free will. I what is free will? You know what I mean? And also, like, what does it matter? Because it's like, I guess the example I was given all the time was like, okay, let's say you get into a car, like, your free will is that you put on a seatbelt and you drive safely, but like you can't control like if there's a tornado and you get blown away or like if someone else literally just hits you. But like your free will is everything that you can do that's within your control.
Right.
But you can't control if you were born with parents who maybe never told you to put on a seatbelt. Like I always had these questions and I just feel like
Mm.
Islam doesn't have a good answer for it because they'll like I remember my dad really telling me about a concept that's like so I don't know if it's actually maybe you'll know the Arabic term for it, but like where you're not supposed to ask too much, you're not supposed to think about it too much.
Mm.
Like he was like, "Oh, like because like God is outside of our like the scope of our brain.
Understanding.
Like
Oh yeah,
if you
yeah, yeah.
think about it, like that's pretty much like the path towards non-believing." But it's like that's such a
That's
culty
that's
like
a
thing.
culty thing to say. You're so right. That's so true.
Do they is that a thing that people told you before?
I think the people that have told me that are people who don't have the answer. Like in terms of like Islamic classes, because again, I would take Islamic class every day at school.
Mhm.
And whenever I'd ask a question they don't know the answer to, they'd use that cop out. And I think it's a cop out, honestly. I think I think God wants us to introspect and think about the world. He doesn't want us to just blindly turn around and like deny or accept something just at
Yeah,
face
because
value.
nothing in this world just is.
Yeah.
Everything is in relativity with everything else, and like that space, it's like here's hot and here's cold. Let's like explore warmth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Going back to the idea of like when you were talking about the seatbelt thing, did you watch Benjamin Button?
The bear? Oh no, I didn't want. I know like I get the concept of like a person who reverse ages.
Yeah. So in that show, Kate Winslet, I think that's the actress who plays the ballerina, gets run over by a car at some point and breaks her leg. But they shoot it in such an interesting way where they showed an old man waking up. Oh, but he forgot to set his alarm. So then he like went to wake. You know, it's like that trickle effect of like how that car ended up there and how she ended up in front of the car. And it was
Final
so
Destination.
yeah, it was so well done where I was like, "Oh, wow, it is true, like, everything does happen in such a series of events that you can't control, that are just gonna happen." And
Yeah, or it's just, like, even, like, how I moved to Toronto or how I have my current job. It's just, like, so many random things that had nothing to do with anything happened, where it's, like, because I did this, then I ended up meeting this person who told me to do this, and then I did this, and then I met this person who
right.
said to do this,
And
and then I ended up here.
if one of those things hadn't happened, then you wouldn't be where you
The
are.
whole thing is yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So, like, that is Lord of the Rings.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Lord of the Rings, but that's a whole other episodes.
Maybe
Anyway,
that'll be our
is
the next
this
podcast topic.
maybe. Is this the vampire episode? Like, do we
Today
have
that was the vampire episode. I don't have much to say about Twilight, to be honest.
it
This
is
was
my
Khalil and
baby.
Ali's episode. I like saying whose ideas is who. Like, I like announcing, being like, "This was my idea.
Yeah, yeah.
This was your idea."
I do wanna do a media moment just to share music that I listened to this week that really got me through the week. There's this, Ibrahim Ma'louf. Look him up, and he has an
I'm gonna
al
show the Spotify thing on the screen.
yeah.
Show the camera.
It's this concert specifically. It's like a 3-hour album. I listened to it yesterday at work, and I was like, "Thank God I have stimulation," because otherwise I think he's a trombonist or something, but it was really good. Anyway,
My media moment is if anyone's watching RuPaul's Drag Race. Are you watching?
I'm not
Homophobe.
I know.
Wow.
I hate people.
Um, so for my people who are watching Drag Race, who watched a whole hour of this, justice for Acacia Forgot, because so she's a country queen
Mhm.
who sang a little, like, minute song for a talent show called I'm gonna look it up right here. It's called Bulls by Acacia Forgot, and, I think it was actually such a cute, like, I'm a sucker for a little love song, and it's like a little country gay love song,
Cute.
and I really liked it. And I think, like, all the other queens were, like, shitting on her in the episode, being like, it was not even that good, and then she was in the bottom. That's the thing about Drag Race, they will literally put people in the bottom where it's like, "That was actually really good." Like, you're punishing the person for being talented.
Yeah.
So, everyone go listen to Acacia Forgot Bulls.
Mhm, mhm. Cool. Well,
You wanna
everyone,
send Scott?
thank you
Cool.
so much for listening, watching. This is the Olive Peoples. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.